This will be episode number 11. The last couple of days, I've really been thinking about a whole bunch of different things, including where my life is at now and where it was, just a short time ago. And it also makes me, kind of look back at some of the decisions and some of the life changing things that have happened to me up to this point. Some of the things that I've been able to enjoy, some of the things that I've been able to experience, and what made me think about this was this morning I was digging through my Instagram and kind of looking to see, what the heck was going on, and obviously got trapped up in reels like I would assume that a good portion of us get kind of locked into that every once in a while. But one of the people that I follow is the Grind Athletics. And first of all, if you haven't looked at any of their apparel, you should definitely look at it. It's amazing, super soft, very reasonable. The reason why I started following them is because I did like their apparel, and then I started following the owner a little bit, and he is everything really that I've talked about in my podcast. He's just kind of a straight shooter. He built his business from nothing. Just a dream and the will to work for it. And watching some of the progression over the last couple of years of what he posts and what he talks about kind of aligns with a lot of what I think about and stuff that I've gone through. And so that's what I kind of want to talk about during this one, and just kind of see what the heck is going on. And I wanted to kind of hit on some of the things that I have been through and kind of how they align a little bit with what he's got going on. So my past, as I talked about earlier, as a kid, wasn't always, sunshine and rainbows. Like I was very involved in sports and although not involved with the school teams, but I definitely played like Park and Rec and Little League and all that kind of stuff. And I really, really enjoyed that. And it was just, kind of kept me busy. And some of the nonsense from growing up, which I also talked about, the ups and downs of, dealing with how I was raised and sometimes how my dad handled things. And it wasn't always the best. I could think about some good times when I was younger with my dad that were just kind of him and I. Like, we had to go pick up a somehow the man used to find all kinds of shit, but he found a trailer for a lawn tractor, and him and I took like a small road trip up to New Hampshire to pick it up. And I remember sleeping in the car on the way up there, but it's one of those times where when I look back at the times I had spent with my dad and the interactions that we had with him, that's one of the ones that really stands out to me. Because when I was younger, it seemed like if I wasn't there to be his apprentice with all of his projects, and I wasn't playing sports, then my dad and I didn't really have much time to just have it be me and him. There were some times here and there, but like they weren't great. Like they were times where I had suspected that there was other stuff going on with my dad, and so I didn't really get to embrace it and enjoy it as much as I really wanted to. And then, as I got into my high school years, where I don't know, in high school I was kind of a bowl cut, glasses, maybe 135 pounds soaking wet kid, and kind of fit into a weird group through high school. Friends with, at the time, the alternative kids, which were like just kind of a transition from not just like grunge, but like punk rock and some other things that was just kind of what the early 90s were. And then I was friends with the kids that were part of band, and friends with kids that were in high honors, and obviously kids that were playing sports. And it was just kind of a good place to be when I was in high school, because you never really were segregated from anything. And then as I got into my my older years, when you kind of live a little bit young and reckless in your early 20s and don't really think about much, that's kind of where I really kind of put myself into some trouble and allowed the drinking to get the better part of me. Which I don't know. I guess that's like a rite of passage, or what people would call a rite of passage for that time frame, where it's okay to go to the bar and just get shit faced, and you get up in the morning and you go about your day or whatever, you deal with your hangover. And I don't know. If I could erase any part of my life, I think it would probably be a good portion of my early 20s where a lot of that shit was going on. I mean, there were definitely some good times, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't smarten up sooner. A couple of things that kind of come to mind that happened during my early 20s. Went down to Ocean City and saw some people crossing the street and get hit by a car. I had friends that popped pills, and one of them dove into a snowbank that had a picnic table in it, and he broke his neck. We crashed into a high curb and broke the whole front axle on a car, and we all kind of ran away from it. And my buddy who was driving almost got arrested. And I don't know, events like that kind of you think would make you smarten up a little bit, but I chose not to smarten up until I got to, oh God, probably 26, 27. And that's when I really kind of figured out that maybe the life I was leading wasn't the best life, and chose to make a decision and move out of the area and kind of get involved in some other things, and really focused on work and my oldest son. That was when his mom was pregnant with him, and just kind of focused on where the hell my life was going to go at that point. As I had said earlier, some things happened, and unfortunately at that time when I was, trying to put my pieces together, my marriage at the time fell apart, and things just kind of, they got to a part where things were really, really fucking unmanageable, and started to revert a little bit back to the drinking, and just kind of got lost for a little while. It was definitely not a good time for me. Probably one of my darkest times in my life, where I just couldn't see the good that was going on around me, or at least the opportunities that were there for me to make my life better than how I was seeing it. And I just kind of really just focused on some of the people that I was friends with at that time, and just kind of kept myself distracted, in my free time, I worried about what the hell I was going to do. But, outside of my free time, I had my son, so I had something else for me to focus on, that I could just, not think about all the things that were bothering me, but could just focus on getting through the day and making sure his life was the best it could possibly be. And as that kind of took its course, is when I met my now ex-wife, and I don't know, it seemed like at that point lives kind of aligned, and similar things had been gone through from both of us, and I allowed that to, I don't know, kind of cloud my judgment. Because I thought that we were coming from the same place, I didn't see things at the time that were, it made us pretty incompatible. Lack of communication, lack of understanding. Again, spent a lot of time drinking beer and just didn't focus on how it was impacting my life and my son's life, and tried to just kind of push through it, thinking, I don't want to be divorced again, and I got to try to make something of this. I got to try to stabilize what's going on around me. And right or wrong, honestly, I don't give a fuck how you think about the choices that I made, is when I met my fiance, which was when I was married, and everything about her just kind of captivated me, and how easy it was for her and I to have conversations about different things, and how comfortable she made me feel. It felt like at a time where I was so busy faking it, it put me in a space when I was around her where I could just feel like me and not have to carry all the other bullshit. But what it did is now I have to carry the bullshit, and I also have to put on this facade, this cloak to hide the fact that I knew my life was going to be better if I got out of my marriage, but I was so involved with all the things that were entailed with that, and scared to leave because I wasn't sure how my ex was going to react, and that went, I don't know, for worse than I thought it was going to, and I tried to make it a smooth transition out of that, but that didn't work. And I ended up losing a lot of things that I didn't want to lose, which was a dog that meant the fucking world to me. Obviously, I had to sell my house, and I didn't lose some of the material things, but she took some of the material things without some kind of a conversation, and it was just rough. Like the divorce was not good, and a lot of back and forth, and I want to be compensated for this, but like she failed to see that she was already being compensated for that, for the amount of stuff that I wasn't going to fight her for. But she wanted to like nickel and dime the shit out of it, and I just couldn't wait to get out of that. And what made that end for me was the day that Audrey and my son said, like, I just can't do this anymore. I understand why you're continuing to fight and what you're doing, but I just can't do this anymore. It's just putting too much of a toll on us. And that's when I made the decision to just say, I don't care what it takes to get this done. I don't care what I have to give up. I need my life to move forward. I need to remove this, I guess you could call it like a sour piece, a rotten piece, a cancer within me that I needed to go away. So I moved on from that, and now, as I've said multiple times through this podcast, like where I am now is a much happier place. There's no way in hell earlier on I would have ever thought about starting a podcast and kind of airing my laundry out to whoever the hell wants to listen to it. But I am, because I think it's important to be real and not just criticize or talk about things that are struggles for other people. I think it's important to put that kind of stuff out there, because I am not perfect. I am learning from my experiences, and at the end of the day, you have to go through some shit to be stronger and smarter and better on the other side. And without having met Audrey, if you removed that piece of my life, I don't know where I would be mentally. I probably would have not had the relationship that I have with my son now, because he was just feeling like lost and not loved from me. He just kind of felt like everything that was going on that pertained to her was more important than how he was feeling. He just kind of felt left out. I vowed to myself to never allow that to happen, and I did. So I'm glad that I made the choices that I did. I'm glad that I found out some of the things of how he was feeling. I'm disappointed that I put myself in a position where he couldn't talk to me about those things. But like I said, you have to go through some shit to live and learn. You have to be exposed for where your failures were in order to be a better person. And where I'm at now is definitely way better than where it was back then. All of my experiences, my relationship with my dad has me hyper-focused on the kind of a dad that I want to be and the kind of dad that I am. Like my little one, I was a good dad for my oldest kid. I'm trying to be a better dad for the youngest. So every day I try to interact with him, and I give him hugs, and we try to do things together, and we laugh and we joke and we play, and like all the things that I don't ever remember my dad doing with me. I want that relationship between him and I to be so strong that he knows that he can always count on me. And his mom's doing the same thing, like she does all the same things that I do. And right now, with him being 2, obviously everything's no, 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 and I want this and I want that, and he's definitely, knee deep in the terrible twos for both of us. But I try not to be frustrated with him and just take it for what it is. Because I don't want. Sometimes the things that he does as a 2 year old I think are disrespectful to his mom, but he doesn't even realize that what he's doing is disrespectful, So it's part of the dealing with the tantrums and also trying to get him to understand that you can't talk or do these things to not just me, but to his mom or anybody else. Right now, when it comes to him, it's probably one of the hardest, it's definitely one of the top 5 hardest moments of parenting to this point for me. And I'm okay with it. Like I said, you gotta be you gotta go through the shit to understand how to handle it and how to react to it and how to make the outcome be the best that it can. Which brings me to now in the start of 2025 and what my goals are for this year. And my goals are to continue to be the best dad that I could possibly be, to be the best fiance that I can be, to be the most trustworthy, honest partner, and the most supportive and understanding and patient dad that I can be. And those are big goals, like for me, for somebody who really does have a lack of patience, the patience part of it is going to be a huge thing for me. But I'm aware of it, and I know it's part of my opportunities, and it's one of the things that I want to be better at this year. So that's going to be one of my goals. And the reason why I'm kind of going through all this stuff is this morning, like I said, when I was watching my reels and stuff and the stories, I came through this one from the Grind Athletics, and Tim, the guy who owns it, him and I have had some conversations about a bunch of different things, about raising kids, about what it's like to be a man, to be a dad, certain things that impact your life and how you feel about it. And he's got a very, like I said, aligned perspective on that kind of stuff. This morning I was watching it, and one of the things that he had said was that like he feels like he lost who he is being so focused on all these other things, that he doesn't feel like he's himself. And we all have those certain things that are a part of your life that make you feel like you. I love beer, so my thing is that I love my home brewing process, and I love when I have the opportunity to be able to do it, and I enjoy it, and then I obviously enjoy reaping the rewards of being able to do those things. I like being busy. I'm not an idle person, so love getting my workout done in the morning. I just like if I don't do it, I feel off. So there are definitely certain things that integrate into my life that make me feel whole. And to see somebody who I have a lot of respect for, and somebody who makes me think about, am I being the best dad that I can be? Am I doing the things that make me happy? Am I following my dreams? To see and hear him struggle a little bit with that kind of stuff, and want to recenter where he's at, it kind of brings perspective to where I am in my life. One of the greatest things that has stuck with me from the time I started following him was he made a comment, and I think I may have brought it up earlier, but I don't know. We're going to go through it again anyway, which is you wake up in the morning and treat your life like your bank account. The goal at every single day is to get up and make more deposits into your life than you take withdrawals. So the deposits are the things that make you feel good and help your life get better, and the withdrawals are the things that like they kind of hold you back a little bit and veer you from your direction of where you want to be. I've used that with my buddy who's going to be on when we do that whole podcast about therapy and recovery and all that kind of stuff. When he was going through one of his situations, I said to him, like, dude, you got to wake up every single morning. and make a deposit. And deposit for me and for my buddy is being able to get into the gym and burn off some of your frustrations, your anxiousness. Like, it just makes you feel good. That's a deposit. But a withdrawal would be going and, drinking a bunch of beers. That would be a withdrawal for me because it removes me from my goals. Not that it's, it's not something that I see as a negative thing, because drinking hasn't disrupted my life as an adult, at least this stage in my life, where it has a negative impact, because I've scaled my drinking way back. And some of it is just because I'm so busy with the baby that, like, I don't have time to do certain things that I used to do. And I'm fine with it, like a regular weekend I would probably drink, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 beers a night, maybe a little bourbon, and that would be a regular weekend, previously. But now if I have one beer, a night, or one beer on a weekend, or whatever, or maybe a glass of bourbon, like, that's kind of where it starts and stops. And some of it has to do with, one, not having time. I really don't address my life like that anymore. And then also what my buddy has gone through and seen the impact of the changes that have happened in his life, that it makes you think twice about whether or not certain things are really worth it in high doses. If you could control certain aspects of your life, you will definitely see the benefits on the other side. The other reason that I wanted to get into this was, last episode we talked about, like, New Year's resolutions and things that just generally need to happen in order to make a lot of lives better. This is just kind of a continuation of that. And it's about knowing where I came from and some of the challenges and the shit that impacted my life, and the things that I have seen that have now brought me to where I am now, which is a much better place. I used to get angry at the drop of a hat and just, want to kind of not let anybody ever get over on me. And I held that line viciously. And now I just kind of, I still fight with that a little bit, but I kind of look at it as, it's not that I don't give a fuck, because yes, a part of me still does, but it's more of how is this going to impact me? Like, this is bothering me right now, but like 5 minutes from now, did it really change my life? Did it really impact me? And the answer to that is probably no. And that's fine, but that's growth. I only got there because I was consciously working on being better about that kind of stuff, and being aware of where I'm at in certain situations, and either removing myself from it or just not putting myself in that situation. And that's growth. So take a little bit of some of the insight that I had in the previous episode and in this one. Like, there's never anything that happens in your life that you can't learn from, you can't recover from, and you can't use to guide your path in the future to be better. You have to want to do it. You have to acknowledge that at times you weren't at your best, and that's fine, because nobody's at their best every single day. But you want to try to be at your best every single day, and you want to be aware of where you're at mentally and how you're responding to things, and being aware that not everybody understands where you came from, and not everybody understands your scars, but those are your scars, not your scars to project out onto somebody else. So take the time this year to take a self-inventory, kind of see where you're at, and change your course as needed. Make the decisions that are going to impact your life in the way that you want it to happen. Don't let others or other situations change your course. You got to be strong, you got to be diligent, and you got to want it, because, like I said previously, the only person that is going to deal with the repercussions of your decisions is you. So be smart, be aware, and be brave.